there are two things that Christian girls don't want to be, and those are awkward around boys and labeled as a flirt. So I'm going to give you 5 steps to help you find that balance of being confident around guys, but without being overt or flirtatious. The first tip is to be nice to everyone. When you go to a social event, don't go there just to meet guys or just to be around the guy. Go to social events with the heart of, I want to be friendly to everybody and be a blessing to as many people as I can. And that way, what will happen is that you will get to be seen by guys and noticed by them, but your heart is in the right place, and ultimately that is what you want a guy to notice about you. You want him to notice who you are as a person, and that you are kind and not intimidating, but not intimidated either. Point number 2 is to be friendly and actually plan activities that will involve both guys and girls. And so what you're doing is you're being confident enough to meet new people, but here's the key. Invite it as a group invitation so that it doesn't feel as if you're pinpointing a certain guy or guys in general. So you do want to keep in mind the idea of being friendly to everyone, inviting everyone, and just being a hostess in general. A man or a woman that hath friends must show themselves friendly. And so send out a group invitation and then follow up one-on-one. But so that you don't come off as a flirt, when you're following up on that one-on-one, do it appropriately in public. And that leads me to the third point. Don't initiate texting with a guy. Not ever. If you're going to follow up on an invitation, when you see him at church, follow up with him there. And there was this book, I don't even know how many years ago, and I didn't even read it, but the idea was, how to know if he's into me. And if he is into you, he will text you first. There is not a greater sign of desperation than when you as a girl are initiating texts or initiating conversations or being the girl who calls the guy or being the girl who follows him around. So as a rule of thumb, just don't. Let him come to you. A man that findeth a wife findeth a good thing, and so he needs to be the initiator. It is great to be out there in the open, to be seen and not hiding in a corner in a pew somewhere, but there's a difference between being friendly and being the aggressor. No matter how much you want to justify it to yourself to text him, if you are not in a relationship with a guy already, do not be the initiator. Do not text him first. And that brings me to a point in this about being an aggressor or being patient. You do have to trust that God will, if you are praying and you are being friendly and you're getting yourself out there to where there are like-minded people, God will open up the eyes of a good guy. I'm not a believer that there's only one guy, the perfect guy for you, and that God's gonna, shine a light on you and he has finally found you. I don't believe that at all. I think there are many good options and you can make a good, solid choice. But just pray that God will open the eyes of a good man and then give you the discernment to be friendly and explore that option and to have wisdom to see the heart of that young man if the opportunity arises. I did a video a little while back called How to Make Friends in High School, and this kind of has a little bit to do with that. And so this point number 4 has to do with learning how to mingle at a social event or at church or in college. Most guys don't want to search high and low to try to find the hidden girl. I saw this meme around Valentine's Day, And it was a guy who said, asked a girl's dad if I could invite her to the Valentine's banquet. She said no. It's that time of year again. And it really made me feel for the guy, because they do have to put themselves out there and risk being rejected by us, and yet it's this kind of catch-20 where we really want to meet the right guy, but then we don't really want to meet the wrong guy either. And so there's that element of becoming less intimidating. And this goes back to point 1 of being friendly at every event that you attend. Learning how to mingle isn't as hard as you would think it is. I remember a few years back, I went to an event and I was a little bit distracted by my kids, but I left there thinking, man, I wish I would have never gone. I feel more lonely having left it than I did before I went, because I saw that there were so many people and they all seemed to be having a good time, and yet I was over here wishing somebody would talk to me. And at that point I determined I don't want anybody else to feel that same way that I did. What I started doing is that I purposefully would go to the different groups and the different tables and just say hi and strike up a conversation. And you can learn how to do that, that's small talk, in the video, How to Make Friends Easily, in high school. But that might be easier for me because I'm a natural extrovert. But let me just give you some quick pointers on how to mingle well. The first thing is, don't hide in a corner. Don't come in and find your seat and stay there. Try to stand, when you go through and there are drinks, kind of stand near the drinks, where after people get drinks, they kind of mingle and wander, and stay standing. Or if you have to eat, find a place kind of in the middle of people and sit there, and then eat and talk, and then stand up and move around. If you get nervous, hold your cup and have a napkin around your cup, so that if your hands get sweaty, you can just kind of keep holding the cup and it keeps wiping the sweat off. So when you go to shake hands, you don't have that clammy, cold, gross feeling that just exudes nervousness. Another important element to mingling is your posture. There is an air of confidence when you are able to have your shoulders back. It is scientifically proven that the more room that you take up when you are standing somewhere, the more confident you appear. Whether you are feeling confident or not, you just appear confident. You appear flamboyant or gregarious and exciting to be around, and people are drawn to that. But it is also known that there is a loser posture. It kind of looks like this. Kind of hunched and drawn back and nervous, and that's the loser posture, and people recognize that, and it will be standoffish because nobody wants to feel awkward and they don't want you to make them feel awkward. And so when you go to approach a table, you have your cup, your hands are dry, you have a smile on your face, and just start talking. Hi, how are you guys doing? So what have you been up to recently? And you go through those steps of small talk. Small talk is about listening. Smile, ask questions, and listen, because you want people to know that they are important. You want to be a blessing. You want them to be heard. And as you go around and you ask everybody, not just guys, not just girls, don't stay in your comfort zone. Go ask everybody how they're doing. It gives people a glimpse to know who you are and to see that you are not scary and that you are approachable. And so if a guy happens to see you and go, wow, that girl's really friendly, she doesn't seem like she's a jerk, maybe I will go talk to her dad and see if she would be interested in getting to know me a little bit better. But to balance that out is point number 5, keeping a guy at arm's length. Elizabeth Elliot said that the one piece of advice that her mother gave her, she said she didn't have very many talks with her. She just said, keep a guy at arm's length. And this reminds me of a Blind Me Cow video that talks about like every girl in a youth group, and he went through the different types. And he said, and then there was the flirt, and he showed her, putting her hand on him and laughing, and that familiarity and that closeness really labels you quickly as a flirt. And it's figurative and literal. You don't need to be going around laughing and putting your hand on their shoulder or leaning into guys or putting your hand on their leg when you're telling a story. Keep them at arm's length, but also while you're friendly, you still want them to be curious, because as a matter of ego, guys aren't drawn to easy catches. Yes, be friendly, but keep moving. Go to the next person and talk to them so they don't think, ugh, this girl, she won't leave me alone. They'll be interested, their curiosity will be piqued, but it's kind of a challenge for them to have to get to know you a little bit better, because they need to do the finding. You don't want a lazy guy who's going for the easy catch. And if you have made mistakes in the past and you have given off a bad impression of who you are, whether as somebody who lacks confidence or somebody who is overt and aggressive, don't worry about it. Just take a step back and pray and ask God to give you clear perspective and to really start afresh. There's a lot of grace in the world for humble people who are doing their best. Have a great day.